Dear Heartland Research Group friends, I am writing this message to provide details about what recently happened in terms of strong evidence supporting the location of the Zarahemla temple location. Some very compelling evidence has developed in support of the site location. Some of you know that yesterday, Thursday, July 9th, I was emailed 3 aerial color infrared photographs over the Zarahemla temple site. These were sent to me from Calvin Hamilton asking me whether I could see the temple site in the photographs. In their unenhanced form, no, I could not see the temple site in the photographs, but as some of you know, I taught remote sensing for 30 years at 3 universities, and I taught courses at the graduate level and served as the graduate thesis and dissertation advisor to 80+ PhD and MS/MA graduate students who were specializing in remote sensing. If I cannot squeeze hidden patterns out of an image, especially a color infrared (CIR) image, then we are all in trouble. SIR film was developed during World War II by Kodak to help detect camouflage that the enemy was using to hide things on the ground. If a feature on the ground is a real plant, then they will appear red in the photograph, but if camouflage, it will be purple in color on the photograph. The first attached image is a panel in which I have placed the original 2010 SIR image from Calvin, left side. The middle image is one I enhanced using a nonlinear contrast stretch, and finally, the far right image I created using a specialized index to extract subtle information, plant biomass, cover, leaf area index, leaf orientation in 3D space, health, etc., about vegetation out of an image. It is called the Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, NDVI. After computing the NDVI using the red and near-infrared wavelengths of light, I immediately saw what I thought might be the rectangular area of the temple site and sent it to Wayne for confirmation. The temple site is the redder rectangular area on the right side of the third image was joyfully confirmed by Wayne as the temple location. Wayne also indicated that there were other structures that were obviously impacting the patterns in the image. The second attached image is one that Wayne superimposed while lines delineating the rectangle that is over the temple site location, and notice the red pattern I identified fits very nicely in the box. Wayne has used a manual method of doing aerial correspondence analysis, which is a way of determining how well patterns on 2 maps match each other spatially. For example, is there 80% overlap between the 2 maps? The more overlap, the higher the aerial correspondence between the 2 features. It appears to me there is close to 100% aerial correspond between Wayne's map and the NDVI map. Wayne aligns his maps based on key features in the image. The third attached image shows some linear patterns in the 2019 SIR image Calvin sent. I have marked the linear features using white arrows. The vegetation was much heavier in 2010, so I do not see these features in that image. These features are likely modern, but I do not know, so I think we might want to look more carefully at these patterns. Wouldn't it be cool if they turned out to be streets of the city of Zarahemla? With my luck, they are compaction tracks in the field. I decided to compute some basic summary statistics from samples of the spectral values inside the temple plot versus outside the temple plot, see graph. What I found was that the red Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, NDVI, values were highly statistically different on the inside versus the outside of the temple plot, by 11.9 NDVI values, which is a lot since the standard deviation values for the samples were less than 3 for both samples. Why do we want to know this? What if Wayne is showing the NDVI map to an audience and an academic says something like this: I see the pattern on the NDVI map, but I am wondering how different were the NDVI values inside the temple area versus outside the temple area? Wayne could not answer. The NDVI values were 11.9 values different, and the samples were very similar in reflectance within and outside the temple area. While looking at the graph, he could say, notice that within the temple plot, the NDVI values were 154.4 out of a possible 255, with a standard deviation of 2.3, and the NDVI outside the temple plot were 166.3 R of 255, with a standard deviation of 2.9. These very long standard deviation values tell us that the 2 sites were homogeneous with respect to their reflectance, and therefore, the chances of getting these differences in reflectance by random chance are less than 5 times out of 100. This probability very strong, and consider it very acceptable for this kind of work. The temple plot is reflecting light in the red and near-infrared wavelengths differently than the areas outside the temple, and the rectangular shape of the plot tells us that it was made by humans. The lower NDVI values within the temple plot tell us there is less green vegetation in the temple plot than outside the temple plot, which would be expected with the sandy texture of the temple plot soils. I believe that the differences are not because of the differences in soil colors as much as it is because of the difference in plant types and the amount of green plant material. There is less green plant material within the temple plot. Some of you know how this Zarahemla site was originally located. If you do, you know now you have witnessed the Lord proving it was found by revelation. To put the odds into perspective, the area between Montrose and Fort Madison is about 16,000 acres. The temple site is about 0.20 acres in area. This spot was correctly identified to the foot within a 16,000 acre area. Some might call it luck. I do not have enough faith to call it luck. Best wishes. Dr. Kevin Price.